Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the story of Kanakuk Kamps. For decades, it was one of the most trusted Christian summer camps in the country. But as we're going to see by looking at court records and investigative reports, a really dark story has been unfolding just beneath the surface, one of widespread abuse, alleged cover-ups, and an incredible fight for the truth.
So here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at the legal battle that's making headlines right now. Then we have to go back to uncover the horrific crimes at the very heart of this story. From there, we'll explore what's been called an architecture of silence, how this was all allegedly kept quiet. Then we'll see how one family's tragedy sparked a huge legal change. And finally, we'll look at the ongoing fight for real accountability.
Okay, let's start with what's happening today. This isn't just some abstract legal fight. It's a battle over who gets to tell the story of Kanakuk's past.
Things really blew up recently when podcaster Shawn interviewed a key victim advocate. Almost immediately, Kanakuk's lawyers sent him a demand to retract his story. But his response was, well, you can see it right there. Bring it on. That public act of defiance really threw Kanakuk's legal strategy into the national spotlight.
And right here, this is the core of the entire conflict, isn't it? On one hand, you have Kanakuk's public statement, we're not hiding anything, our agreements don't silence victims. But then, you look at what survivors are saying in court, and it's a totally different story. They're alleging that the camp knew about the abuse the whole time, that they hid that information, and that's how they convinced families to sign these settlements to begin with.
So what was this secret Kanakuk was allegedly trying so hard to hide? Well, to understand that, we need to talk about one man, Pete Newman. He wasn't just some random staff member. He was a beloved, charismatic director right at the heart of the camp.
Take a look at this number, 57. That's how many victims were named in just one civil lawsuit against Pete Newman.
And this is the number of total victims the prosecutor in his criminal case estimated. We're talking hundreds. The true scope is, well, it's likely far, far higher.
This is from a court filing back in 2011. It doesn't mince words at all. It calls Newman a serial abuser who targeted over 50 children. And remember, this was all happening while he was in one of the most trusted positions at the entire camp.
Now this is where the story pivots from the crimes of one person to the alleged response of the institution. Take a look at this legal filing. It claims that when leaders were faced with overwhelming evidence of Newman's abuse, they didn't fire him, they promoted him.
And this, right here, is the most critical accusation. The camp allegedly knew it had a predator working there and made a conscious choice not to tell parents. They effectively took away the one piece of information parents desperately needed to protect their own kids. So, how does one predator's crimes allegedly morph into a whole system of institutional silence? That brings us to our next section, the architecture of that silence. This term you see here, institutional betrayal, is absolutely crucial to understanding the story. For survivors, the abuse itself was the first trauma. But the second one, and for many, the one that did the most damage, was the feeling that the very institution they loved and trusted had turned its back on them to protect itself.
Now get this. This document alleges that when Newman finally confessed, the camp's first call wasn't to the police or a psychologist, it was to a lawyer. The lawsuit claims this was a strategic move designed to wrap the whole confession in attorney-client privilege and get around mandatory reporting laws.
And if you want to know where the priorities were, look no further than this quote. This is from Kanakuk's own insurance company, revealed in a lawsuit, advising them not to go public because it would threaten greater liability. So it seems the priority wasn't protecting kids, it was protecting the bottom line. When you look at all the allegations together, a clear playbook starts to emerge for controlling the story. You've got NDAs to legally gag victims, PR spin to downplay the crisis, and then legal threats for anyone who dares to speak out. It looks like a comprehensive strategy to keep the truth locked down. But this system of enforced silence didn't just hide the truth, it had a real devastating human cost. And that cost would eventually spark a movement to tear that whole system down. This is Trey Carlock. He was one of Pete Newman's victims. As part of a settlement, he signed a non-disclosure agreement, an NDA. His family says that legal document built a prison of silence around him. It isolated him so completely with his trauma that he couldn't even speak about his abuse in therapy. In 2019, Trey died by suicide.
Out of that unimaginable tragedy, Trey's sister, Elizabeth Phillips, channeled her grief into action. She launched a website to get the facts out there, and started a relentless campaign to outlaw the very legal tool, the NDA, that she believes trapped her brother in silence.
And incredibly, she succeeded. You can see it here. Both Texas and Missouri passed Trey's law, which basically makes it illegal to use NDAs in child abuse cases. This means institutions can no longer legally buy a victim's silence. Her fight also led to brand new safety laws for camps, a direct response to the systemic failures she helped expose.
But you know, passing new laws is one thing. Getting full accountability from the institution itself? Well, that remains the final and maybe the toughest battle.
For its part, Kanakuk insists that it has reformed. The camp points to its new comprehensive child protection plan. They say they fully cooperated with law enforcement, and they highlight the fact that no member of its leadership was ever criminally charged. They see this as proof of their commitment to safety.
But for advocates and survivors, those reforms just don't go far enough. They say real accountability is impossible as long as two things are missing. First, Kanakuk needs to voluntarily release every single victim from their non-disclosure agreement, and second, they need to bring in a completely independent third-party investigator to finally uncover the full truth of what happened there for everyone to see.
And that really leaves us with the fundamental question at the heart of this entire story. When an institution that's supposed to protect children fails, who is ultimately responsible for the truth? Is it the survivors, who have to fight tooth and nail for it? Is it the institution, who should just volunteer it? Or is it all of us, who have to demand it? That's the painful but absolutely necessary conversation this entire case forces us all to have.